I think we are running late because there is some misinformation about for some people that it starts at 4 o'clock, whereas it was supposed to be from 3 o'clock. So we have a couple of guests who are outside the country. One is within the
Laura, are you
country
there?
and another is outside the country, which from Indonesia, an author and a writer about Kashmir. Her name is Laura Shurman, and I would ask Mr. Mujib to get her on line. Laura, here we go. And can we speak to Laura? Good afternoon, Laura. We are. There is a confusion. There are. एक keep it one. एक ही इसमें कर लीजिए. Yes. Can she hear us?
Laura, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning from Jakarta.
Uh,
Yes, Laura. Good afternoon. In fact, it's night time there.
Not very loud.
Yeah. There is a little confusion here. The people who the invitees they think that it's going to start at 4 o'clock, so that's why they are running late. So, however, because your speech will be online and it's I think live on StreamYard also. So you can go ahead and start your Mujib Saab. My request to you is that if you can keep this at one Zoom. Thank you. ये लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग हो रहा है ना?
yeah, just can I go and take over from here?
या इसको जूम कर
मैं
लो.
कर रहा हूँ. आप if you let me please.
Live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Laura, you are live and it's going to be a live stream here. So you'll be seen by people who have logged in all over the world. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome, Laura. Go ahead.
Okay, Mujib, Farooq, firstly, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to connect with you in Washington, D.C. And I'm really sorry I couldn't make it today because it's such a long flight and I have so much work to do at this point. But anyway, I'm very grateful that we are able to connect on Zoom or all these social media events, which makes it so much easier to connect nowadays. Mujib, thank you also for last time when we were online together with Farooq and then we had a really good interview about the child down attacks in April 2025, 2 months earlier. And because of that, I have actually just yesterday submitted a new book chapter to my publisher in the United Kingdom because we want to publish a new edition of the book, especially after the latest attack that took place. And I think you are all very lucky to be in Washington, D.C. because that's where it's the U.S. president. And I think, I mean, at least I'm very grateful to U.S. President hired in between India and Pakistan in 2005. And that stopped this 4-day brutal area conflict where also the people of Kashmir, of course, became a victim. I think the points that I'd like to add or I'd like to start with in this short presentation I will give is that, firstly, the people of Kashmir who are the victim of the conflict did not receive any attention while the whole world was watching that India and Pakistan were basically at war with each other. And there were so many journalists, analysts, all kinds of reports on the international media, in newspapers, on BBC, CNN, and they were only discussing the conflict between India and Pakistan and what was going to happen and whether it was going to escalate as a nuclear war. And of course, it was a very good way to analyze the entire situation between the two nuclear armed nations. But what I really found that very disappointing is that once again, the people of Kashmir or Kashmir and the Kashmir region hardly received any attention in the international media. It was again a conflict between India and Pakistan where the people of Kashmir in many ways did not even get a voice. And I realized that very much while I was writing the book chapter in relation to the Pahalgam attacks. I was like, this is the conflict between India and Pakistan. And I didn't actually really include any opinions of the people of Kashmir because they were just left out during the entire conflict. So that's one point I would like to make. The second point that I would like to make is the need of dialogue. And war definitely is not an option between India and Pakistan because they're nuclear powers. And secondly, it is a conflict about the people of Kashmir. And there definitely should be a dialogue that should take place between India and Pakistan and the people of Kashmir. When I was watching the news and following the developments in post-Pahalgam, what I found very interesting to learn is that during the Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore at the end of May, that is an international forum where all leadership, all the military leadership especially, gets together. And this year it was the French President Macron who came there as well, and he gave his keynote opening speech at the forum. But what I'd like to talk about is that General Mirza of the Pakistan Armed Forces actually was emphasizing on the need of a dialogue to solve this issue and to move forward towards conflict resolution. And I believe that was a better conflict between the nations. That one country at least took a step to say, okay, no, we can't continue with war and we need to sit down and we need to have a dialogue. So that I found a very important and very positive development. The second development, which is kind of terrifying in many ways, is the fact that India stopped the Indus Water Treaty, which Pakistan considers an act of war. The fact that millions and millions of Pakistani ordinary people that depend on the water flow from the mountains in Kashmir may not get access to that vital water. I think that is something that the international community also needs to pay attention to find a solution that the Indus Water Treaty that was brokered in 1960 between the World Bank is going to proceed as it's supposed to be before the Pahalgam conflict. So that was the second point what I want to point out to. The third point is that there is terrorism in Kashmir, which we all know. We all condemn the Pahalgam attacks where innocent tourists were brutally murdered. And they were all brutally murdered just based on their religious grounds. This is not the first time it happened. This is probably the worst, or one of the worst killings that we have seen, although there are many more. But what I like to emphasize on as well, and I emphasize it in my book as well in the new chapter, is that Pakistan received the full blame of this attack in Kashmir. Pakistan requested an international investigation in it. But what is important for the international community to know is that there are also attacks in Balochistan. And Balochistan is the region in Pakistan that traditionally is not loyal to Pakistan, but they are loyal to India, and they want to have an independent nation as well. And it is widely believed, and Pakistan claims it has enough evidence, that India is also staging terrorist attacks in Balochistan. So 1 month before the Pahalgam attacks took place, there was this hostage-taking situation on the Jaffa Express that was traveling from Quetta to Peshawar, where about 21 people were brutally murdered by the Balochistan Liberation Army, which is believed to be funded by India. So yes, Pahalgam is there. Whether or not you want to blame Pakistan, I mean, everybody has the right to do it. There was no further investigation done after that so far. But if we ignore the fact
that there are also terrorist attacks in Pakistan, in Balochistan, which the Pakistani military says is orchestrated by India, then you start to understand the dynamics in the region much more. So yes, it is about Kashmir. It is about the territorial dispute between the two nations. But nowadays, the conflict has gone so much further. It is the geopolitical issues are becoming so much more complex, especially because China as well is playing a major role in Pakistan, which is foreign investment and the Belt and Road Initiative, of which the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, is a huge investment in Pakistan, and that travels through the Balochistan province, where many Chinese workers are actually targeted and become victim of terrorist attacks there as well. So we all know that China is becoming a bigger player in the world. The United States, together with India, is going against China. I think the majority of the countries in the world, they don't like China to become a rising power, but they are. I mean, they are growing. Every year they're growing. We're becoming a stronger economic power. And going again to Balochistan, we have this huge investment in Pakistan, which many probably may not want to see it succeed. So I think we have to take into account when we speak about Taliban attack and the terrorism issue, that we definitely also need to take account what is happening in Balochistan against the backdrop that China is becoming a bigger power. Going to the human rights abuses in Kashmir, just to change the subject because I'm talking already for almost 10 minutes, so we don't have that much time. I think the problem with the human rights issues continue in the Kashmir Valley, especially. And I think what happened is that I think a month before the attack, this young Kashmiri man, he committed suicide after he claimed that he was brutally tortured by the Indian security forces. And this is not the only story that comes out, but there are there's other news that young men also were believed to be killed by either the security forces or by militants in Kashmir, and then the reports come out that they committed suicide or other things like that. But what I've been reading in the news is that human rights abuses in the Kashmir Valley, the situation overall continues to be bad, as it always was. And I think during the conflict in Pahalgam, during those 4 days in India and Pakistan, there was also no mention about the ground situation in Kashmir, that human rights are being violated, and that there are a lot of unhappy Kashmiri youth in the region that they just cannot accept that India is ruling their Kashmir. So there are so many issues that actually we can talk about here with about Pahalgam. So I just make a few points which I thought were important, which is the Indus Water Treaty, the need for dialogue that Pakistan came, the Balochistan attack, and the human rights abuses. I think it opens the door for a further discussion. I've been going for more than 10 minutes right now, so I don't want to continue. But this is just the point that I have to make to you. Any questions, most welcome.
Thank you, Laura. I really appreciate your time, and I know it's kind of late over there, and you will still be able to make it. Stay tuned in the backstage, and we have some other speakers, and you're more than welcome to listen to them as well. Thank you.
You're most welcome.
Go ahead.
Laura, you stay tuned. There might be some questions around.
Okay.
So I hope that's not too late for you. Again, for the guests who have come here, Laura is a research scholar and also a writer. She has written a book about Kashmir and traveled quite a bit all over. And her book has foreword written by the president of Indonesia, the ex-president of East Timor, and also vice president of Indonesia. So, very well written book, and I would suggest that all of you, whoever is here, may at some time read that book. Thank you, Laura. and I appreciate your staying late down there.
Um,
Mujib Saab, I would suggest that if you can get Beverly Hills also.
Beverly, can you unmute yourself, please? Thank you. Welcome. Beverly is president of Gendercide World Movement, and she is joining us live. Time is yours. You have 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Mujib.
Certainly. Go ahead, Beverly.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Siddiqui, Mr. Mutzafar, Mr. Qadri, Mr. Carney, and Mr. Kazi. I'm honored to address you all. This is more of an exhortation just to carry on and to take heart. You are lifetime leaders in the struggle for an independent Kashmir, protesting, advocating, and planning throughout your entire lives. Though you fight for Kashmir, you give strength and inspiration to anyone, anywhere, who is engaged in the same sort of political struggle, and to people like me who are fighting for human rights. You fight in the worst of circumstances, for the press and world institutions have turned a blind eye to Kashmir, perhaps for fear of rocking the boat in a region where nuclear weapons are in play, or perhaps for fear of disrupting strong commercial ties. Unfortunately, in Kashmir, the ideals of foreign policy based on democratic principles and international law have been hogtied by expediency, by the imperatives of corporate profit and campaign fundraising. It takes enormous character, enormous courage, and enormous strength to fly against such headwinds. And yet here you are, year after year, decade after decade, refusing to give up. Just by virtue of that, by virtue of not giving up, you ensure that the fight will continue and that the torch will be passed to the next generation. You also make sure the world does not forget, because right now the world would just like to forget that Kashmir is illegally occupied by 3 external powers. You remind us of international charters and conventions that have been violated, of UN mandates that were ignored, and of the hypocrisy of the world's largest democracies. Truly, I salute you for working throughout your lives as both ambassadors and freedom fighters. I also salute you for seizing the political opportunity for Kashmir that comes on the heels of the recent frightening skirmish between India and Pakistan. In this instance, sane minds prevailed and war was averted. Nevertheless, it was a powerful reminder that of all the conflicts in the world, this is the one most likely to lead to nuclear annihilation. It absolutely must be resolved, and you rightly point out that an independent, non-aligned Kashmir is not only the most just pathway to peace, but also the most politically palatable to all parties. You are wise and shrewd to seize the moment. You already have plans in place, plans for a constitutional convention, plans for democratic self-governance, plans for pluralism, human rights, religious tolerance, ethnic tolerance, and full equality for women. You also have plans for Kashmir's economic development. As you point out, Kashmir could once again become a bright star at the crossroads between Central Asia and South Asia, a destination for tourists similar to Switzerland. This is what Kashmir once was, and your plan revives this history and legacy. In the meantime, Kashmir suffers. The people of Kashmir suffer. Their suffering blanketed by media censorship. The people of Kashmir need us to stand with them. If governments fail in this, then individual citizens must stand up. To the oppressors, we say, your human rights abuses are well documented. Do you really want us to repeat this history to your children? And how many times must we point out that all three oppressors suffered under British colonialism? How can you do the same thing to another country? In the cases of India and Pakistan, it was the inspirational voice of Gandhi that released you from British hegemony. Have you forgotten that legacy? I fervently hope that current events lead to reappraisals and realignments that secure peace and an independent Kashmir. I speak for many Americans who stand in solidarity with you. We must push our political leaders to see your cause through the lens of justice and also the lens of pragmatism. We must remind them that America's interests are compromised when we let first one, then another world power overrun a smaller neighbor. Tibet, Ukraine, Kashmir, Gaza, these are all cautionary tales reminiscent of events leading up to World War II. This is dangerous. Americans need to wake up. We may have to sacrifice short-term economic gains to secure long-term international stability and peace and self-governance for Kashmir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Beverly. Appreciate your time, and thank you very much for speaking to us today. You're more than welcome to stay in the backstage and listen to the rest of the proceedings. And if people may have questions, they're more than welcome to ask later in the program. So over to you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mujib Saab. I think we would like to hear from other guests also. Dr. Gina, please, can you?
Dr. Gina, if you don't mind, if you come take my seat so the people can watch you.
Yeah, if you can,
Yeah.
you can come
Yes.
over there.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because this is going to go live stream. Live streaming कर देना
Right.
आप इसको. That way
Is there a microphone? Do I need a microphone?
yeah.
Go ahead, have a seat.
Do you have a microphone?
Yes, I'll give it to you. You're welcome. Let's sit over there so I can help you with that.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, please.
Okay.
Microphone, please.
Let me start
आप
right
जब इनको देते हो स्क्रीन इनका पूरा दिया करो.
Yeah, yeah.
Split.
All right. Good afternoon, esteemed guests, colleagues, and friends. We gather,
Keep your mic little. Yeah.
we gather today in Washington, D.C. to discuss Kashmir, a region of breathtaking beauty, cultural heritage, and complex historical challenges. As someone with Mayan heritage and indigenous roots, I approach this topic with a profound understanding of the struggles faced by a marginalized community and other communities worldwide, particularly impacts of othering and intergenerational trauma. To fully grasp the gravity of these issues, we must confront uncomfortable truths about our shared history and personal experiences. Allow me to share a couple of anecdotes from my own life. Echoes that echo the struggles faced by the people of Kashmir. Growing up, I often felt like an other. My peers often excluded me, and I had very few friends. Throughout my life, people questioned my identity because of my indigenous heritage. This experience of being othered reflects the collective experience of Kashmiris who have often been viewed as different, separate from those in power. One day in school, a new student named Jonathan joined our class. Shortly after the teacher left the room, two boys began to mock him cruelly. Sitting at the back of the room, something inside me snapped. I stood up, walked to the front of the class. and confronted the bullies. I turned to my silent classmates and demanded, "Why are you all just sitting here? Why am I, the smallest one in this class, the only one brave enough to speak up?" That moment taught me a vital truth. Silence is complicity. Silence is injustice. That was not the only time I spoke up. A good friend of mine named Arthur, one day these same bullies, they started harassing him during recess. My friend was Jewish. They circled him and they mocked his faith, calling him a Christ killer. I feared that someone would hurt him, so I stepped forward and reminded them that Jesus was a compassionate man, a teacher of love, and that if they believed in his message, they wouldn't act this way. I also told them, remember, Jesus was a Jew. My words infuriated them, but they left Arthur alone. Yet the story didn't end there. That afternoon, as I walked home along the railroad tracks, those same bullies appeared. Furious, they hurled rocks at me. I ran into the woods and escaped, shaken but unharmed. That moment could have silenced me, but it didn't. Instead, it solidified my resolve. I learned that standing up for others sometimes comes at a cost, but that courage is a choice. I chose to speak when others remained silent. That choice became a defining part of who I am. Now consider Kashmir. Like Jonathan and Arthur, Kashmir has been mocked, violated, and excluded, only on a grander and more devastating scale. The international community, much like my classmates, have too often remained silent. Meanwhile, Kashmiris, outnumbered, under siege, continue to speak out against injustice with tremendous courage. But unlike my classroom, where one voice made a difference, Kashmir needs a chorus of voices. It needs all of us to rise, speak, and act. Kashmir is a home to a rich mosaic of communities, each with its own traditions, languages, and lived experiences. From Kashmiri Muslims, who form the majority in the valley, to Kashmiri Pandits, who have long preserved their Hindu heritage despite displacement, to the Gujars and Bakaras, with distinct cultural identities, the region is a tapestry of faiths and ethnicities. Sikhs, Buddhists, and ethnic minorities like the Panaris and Dagwas and Jammu each contribute to the cultural fabric of Kashmir. Empowering Kashmir's future means ensuring that all these communities have a voice, not just in policy, but in healing and reconciliation, and in defining what justice means for them. As Parvini Ahangar, a mother and human rights defender from Kashmir, reminds us, we are not statistics. We are mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters. We are Kashmiris. We are human beings who have the right to ask, where are our loved ones? Her voice echoes the urgency of recognizing not only suffering, but the dignity and humanity of every person in Kashmir. To truly empower diverse religious and ethnic communities in shaping Kashmir's future, we must confront the uncomfortable truth that the language of othering is not just in our behavior, it is embedded in our history. The Declaration of Independence, often celebrated for proclaiming that all men are created equal, also contains language that laid the groundwork for centuries of oppression, referring to the indigenous people as merciless Indian savages. We see the repercussions of this trauma, not only in the Americas, but also in Kashmir, where decades of conflict and human rights violations have left a collective trauma that spans generations. This trauma is not just political, it is psychological, it is political, social, and economic, manifesting in limited access to education and shattered families. We cannot ignore the ongoing crisis elsewhere in the world, where civilian lives are lost, families are displaced, and homes are destroyed. These events are part of a global pattern of othering that must be confronted and dismantled. In Kashmir, generations have endured occupation, surveillance, and suppression of identity at the hands of the very state that claims sovereignty over them. This is not just a bureaucratic failure. It is part of the same global pattern of othering and erasure. Across the world, the thread of othering is tightly woven, yet so is the thread of resilience. The people of Kashmir, like indigenous peoples in the Americas, have survived, resisted, and continued to dream. They have upheld their cultural identity, wisdom, and hope. This approach demands that we listen actively to the voices of all the communities of Kashmir, recognize and respect the cultural and heritage identities within Kashmir, advocate for solutions grounded in human rights, dignity, and self-determination, challenge narratives that dehumanize or oversimplifies the lives of those in Kashmir, acknowledge the reality of intergenerational trauma, and support community-led healing. When we treat any group as other, we invite injustice and plant the seeds of trauma that may last for generations. Yet, in the face of this difficult truth, we also see strength. Indigenous cultures around the world are reviving. In Kashmir, the spirit of resistance and the will to thrive remains unbroken. As we leave the gathering today, I urge you to carry forward both the weight of our shared history and the light of our shared humanity. Let us not be bystanders. Let us be builders of bridges, bearers of truth, and agents of justice. In the face of a Kashmiri child, see your own child. In the hopes of a Kashmiri family, recognize your own family's aspirations. Our commitment to justice must live beyond this room. It must guide our decisions, shape our policies, and inspire our daily interactions. Only with sustained action and deep empathy can we break the cycles of trauma and build a future in which no one is treated as an other. As Lakota activist Leonard Piotr once said, silence, they say, is the voice of complicity, but silence is impossible. Silence screams. Silence is a message, just as doing nothing is an act. This is why we must speak for Kashmir, for the silence, and for those who are still demanding to be seen. In front of my peers, I stood up alone. Today, I ask all of us to rise, not just for Kashmir, but for every person and community that has long been othered for too long. Let us be the ones who speak, who refuse to remain silent. Let us transform the legacy of othering into one of understanding. Let us walk together into a future. Every human being is seen and heard and celebrated in their full dignity. Until Kashmir is free to define its own future, free from occupation, free from fear, and free to dream, we cannot claim to stand for justice anywhere. Free Kashmir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aziz Saab, would you like to come here?
Me?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Qazi Saab.
Thank you very much for respecting the time, and welcome to those who have just made it to the conference. Now I would like to request our Dr. Imtiaz Khan Saab, who is a professor at Johns Hopkins University.
No, that's not correct. I am in George Washington
George
University.
Washington University. Even better. Even better. So go ahead, sir. You have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank Farooq Saab for providing me the opportunity. And when I talked to him, he said, you can speak on whatever you want to. So I will take the liberty of speaking what I feel about. My understanding was this was sort of a brainstorming session about what kind of strategies we should adopt to basically reinvigorate the struggle for the liberation of Kashmir. The talks are fine, Zoom meetings are fine. During COVID, there were 3 Zoom meetings every day. And I used to ask my colleague, okay, how did the Zoom meeting go? Wonderful. I said, this, that. I said, what is the plan of action? And there was the silence.
Zero.
Unless and until there's a plan of action, there's a strategy. And strategy may not succeed. There has to be alternate strategy. There has to be potential pitfalls. We can go on raving and ranting and saying about that this has been done. I know what has been done. I'm a Kashmiri. I know that 100,000 youth were massacred. I know 11,300 women were gang raped. I know that there are school children who got pellet wounds, had been blinded, and ophthalmologists were not allowed to treat them. I know Angana Chatterjee and with Parvez Imroz discovered mass graves in Kashmir, and she was booted out of the region, and she's not allowed to go back to India. But how do we counter it? What is our strategy? I'm a part of diaspora. As a diaspora, what have we done? I remember on August 5th, 2019, when this 370 and 35A article was abrogated, we had a meeting in one of the restaurants in Virginia. I was delighted. The people were so enthused. I thought they will leave it. They'll sacrifice their children. They would give their right arm for the struggle of Kashmir. And then after a few months, there was a demonstration in front of the United Nations. One of my friends said the park police reported about 20,000 people were there. After some time, when he told them, they said that, oh, problem is that I would not come. Indian government will not allow us to enter. It reminds me of a joke which my father was narrating, that when Maharaja of Kashmir, he generated the local Kashmiri police force. And he told them, now it is time to go and fight. They said, we will fight. But what is our protection? Struggle calls for sacrifice. The question is, if you are not ready to sacrifice, you have no business to talk about the freedom. I don't want to look at Kashmir from the prism of Pakistan. I want to look at Kashmir from the prism of what I look at it. We know that India is committing acts of terrorism there in Jaffa Train or Baluchistan and everything. We know that. But that is not my problem. Pakistan has 500,000 army, fifth generation aircraft, nuclear power. If they cannot protect their citizens, it is their problem. They better ask their country. I want an investigation on Kuranposhpora, where 85 women between the age of 18 and 80 were gang raped by Rashtriya Rifles. I want the international investigation for Gavkadal massacre, where even a person was partially dead. Bullets were pumped into his body. I want an investigation for everyday murders. There was this G7 conference, and one of the Indian press representatives, because foreign press is not allowed in Kashmir, and she was asking people what do they feel, and nobody would talk about it. And one person who mustered the courage said that if I talk to you, the army will pay a visit to my home, rape my woman, kill the youth. We need people of the diaspora who are dedicated, who are ready to sacrifice. I was talking to Yasin Malik just 2 months before he was imprisoned at his house. He said he has not seen his daughter. This was 2018. I think a couple of months after that, he was imprisoned. He said he has not seen his daughter for the last 7 years. But this sacrifice is nothing. He said that he doesn't consider it a huge sacrifice. What about the people who lost their sons? What about that lady in Kundan-Poshpora who was pregnant as a raped multiple times and she gave birth to a baby with broken shoulder? That's a sacrifice. Not being able to go to Kashmir is no sacrifice. And if we are not ready to do that, shame on us. Then we have no business to talk about Kashmir problem. So the question is, we have such an opportunity. Recently, Pahalgam, though I don't condemn it, I condemn any killing of the innocent. But it took a crisis to rake up the Kashmir issue again. And tragedy is Pakistan totally, utterly failed to harp on this opportunity. Like one UN ambassador to Pakistan, Munir Akram, said that and he was right. International community responds to crisis. And unless and until We galvanize our energies. It is not, we basically muster all what we have to rake this issue out day in and day out. Then only we can dream about attaining our goal. Without that, talk is cheap. I can go and talk so many things. But the question, if it lacks action and if it lacks perseverance, people think they attend one rally, they go home, now their job is done. As a Kashmiri, I feel it basically breaks my heart. We think individually, we don't think collectively. If my daughter is 3 hours late from school, I will turn berserk. I will call the police station. And when I come back, thanks to Allah, oh my God, you're fine. Do I think that girl in Kashmir, who is at the mercy of that Indian policeman, who has got a license to kill her, rape her, do I think ever that is she safe? No. And if I don't think that manner, I have no business to talk about Kashmir. I don't know how much time I have. I can go on and go. Please stop me. Huh? Time is up.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, sorry. It was little
It's all
too.
right. I mean, you want to speak a little more?
Ah,
it's okay.
We have plenty of time and we'll have exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
It doesn't have
What do
to
you want
be
me to do?
a monologue for an hour.
So that is I really am appreciative of Farooq Saab for organizing this meeting, because let me do a little bit of plain speaking. Freedom of Kashmiri freedom struggle, as far as the diaspora is concerned, is on ventilator. It needs some, life-saving infusion of life-saving drugs to make it stand, and then to evolve a strategy. How can we internationalize this issue? Because as far as India is concerned, India is saying there is no issue of Kashmir now. We have to talk about Pakistan, so-called what they call as Pakistan, not Kashmir. Pakistan is fighting let them fight their own battle. But unless and until we sit together, we have to basically have it at an international level. India, like one of the speakers said that, Kashmir is sandwiched between 3 nuclear powers. And in a study done by an NGO in Holland, they said if there's a nuclear clash between India and Pakistan, 2 billion people will be affected. And for generations, we will have these no crops, nothing like that. Have been able, why not, to explain to the international community the consequences of the hubris which this Indian government, fascist government, is exhibiting? It is our failure. For that, unless and until we evolve strategy and speak with one voice. And last thing, sorry, we are talking about whether India, Kashmir should be Pakistan, Kashmir should be independent. That is no concern right now. It is like that your son is not married, but you are fighting the name of his grandson. First and foremost, our focus should that India agrees it is a problem, comes to the negotiating table. The later issues will come after some time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Sanjeev Saab, I just thought that if I could give a little bit of idea about this conference. and
Please go
what
ahead.
India
You want to
is
use this
doing.
chair or you want to stay there?
I mean, very important for us to understand, and to the guests also. Sure. For everybody, because we are streamlining this live, and people are watching all over the world, wherever they are, whoever is tuned to VOK. But I had made some notes about my speech. Normally, I just thought that I will let you know that Kashmir is one of the most debated conflicts
in the last 20th century and also in this quarter of the 21st century. It's unresolved, and unfortunately for mankind, the obscure solution to this issue is shrouded in splashed blanket of India and Pakistan. And it's also shrouded in the geopolitical interests of the nations of this world who are strong and have Kashmir as a bait to twist the arms in order to achieve their economical interest, resources, and their influence in the geopolitical world of that region. Historians and archaeologists and poets and travelers have shrouded Kashmir in their own molds and models. In the mysterious finding of the past, there was a German professor, an anthropologist, who came to Kashmir, and he traveled all over the world and wrote a book which is one of the famous books in the world, The Chariots of the Gods. Von Jenkin was his name, and I did listen to his lecture in SP College, where he said that he went to Naranag temples, which are located in Kashmir, and there he found a remnant of radioactivity. I don't know what he meant out of that, but he does speak of. In the Sir Oral Stein was a British Jewish traveler who came to Kashmir, and he found very vibrant society of Kashmir, which he talks about in his book. In the medieval times, when Genghis Khan and Halaku Khan devastated the Arab world and Central Asia, people from all those areas came to Kashmir and sought relief, and Kashmiris and settled there. We still have Mr. Surname like Qadri and Bukharis and all that, which are from Central Asia, who settled. And Kashmir was a peaceful place, and it was above the sea level, about 5,000 feet above the sea level, into the mountain. The horses could not come there to invade them, so it became a very peaceful and a place where they could take refuge. Those people who do not believe that Christ was crucified, for them, there was an American writer, again a historian and an archaeologist, Olson. Uh, she she went all across those areas and found that in Kashmir there is burial of Christ is in Kashmir, and she wanted the whole world to the governments of world to get into the what you call the testing of that grave, so that they could see if it is correct or no. You know, on the borders of Kashmir is a town Murray, which is basically there is believed to be the tomb of the Mary, the mother of Jesus. So these are Kashmir's interests that people need to know. There is a biblical village which is called Bethpur, and it is said that Moses is buried there when he left the Israelites and traveled towards the east. So it's a very interesting place for world to find out. The lost tribe of the Jews, which is known, that's what Sir Oral Stein writes in his book, that these are the people, they are the long travelers who came from all the way from Palestine, which is Israel, and settled in Kashmir, which is now we have a country with all these claims made there. We have a country, India, who have abused Kashmir to the extent that even we have right now a war going on in Gaza. At least what is happening is that social media, you can find pictures of what is happening in Gaza. But in Kashmir, there is so much of prohibition that anybody who is walking, a policeman can come and take his cell phone and see if there is something which is incriminating against India. And if it is such, he will be straight away put under the AFSAPA, which is Armed Forces Special Act. And under that act, it's a draconian act which the Parliament of India has passed for particularly for Kashmir. Under that act, you can pick up anybody and put him in the prison for 2 years without any recourse to the justice of SAPA. And it is there for the last 3 decades. Another draconian law is Public Safety Act, PSA. And under that law, you can pick anybody and put him in the jail. Mr. Qazi referred to Yasin Malik's incarceration. There are all these laws are under these draconian implementation by executive authority of India, which have no social contract with the Kashmiris at any stage. On top of it, it talks about that we are the greatest democracy. I am surprised that when Prime Minister of India comes to United States and then gets up under those applauds, the joint Congress says that you and we are the two democracies. One is the biggest and another is the oldest. Now, that is straight away an abuse to the democracy of the United States. Look at this democracy of United States. We are in this hall. It belongs to the people of America, but still, as a democratic country, I am able to speak about peoples who are 10,000 miles away. And when I came into this building, nobody asked me, what are you doing here? If I do this thing in India, I would be put in the jail. First of all, I would be having no recourse to any of their parliament or legislative buildings where I could not to talk about India. So it is important for Americans to understand that democracies which do not function on the ground cannot be cannot claim themselves to be a democracy. It's a non-functional democracy there in India. Completely a non-functional democracy. A democracy does not have 800,000 army in hamlets, on streets, in villages, asking the locals to show their identity card if they belong to Kashmir. That's not a democracy. There is, for the last 6 to 7 years, I think, more than that, I don't have the count, that there is a governance which is by the center, federal government imposed on the might of this people, this army. I mean, now the army, the other, you talked about India and Pakistan army. I mean, the Indian army is not now able to fight a regular army because they are so much involved in to oppressing the civilians in Kashmir. 600 to 800,000 army in civilian areas. I can understand it on the border, but in civilian areas, administering the governance. And then that Mr. Modi comes here in the United States and says that we are the biggest and the oldest. There might be statistically, it may be the population, maybe the 1.5 billion people there, and yes, but it cannot compare itself with the democracy of the United States. And that is something the United States government needs to understand and not clap. And before that, they have to find out whether this democracy is functioning or it's only something like a mouthpiece. So this was, I don't want to take much of time, but what is important, that the democracy is very important, and we have to. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Oh, be careful. You have to come back. Well, with that, we are going to request our next speakers if they can shrink their time to limit themselves to maybe 3 minutes. I'm gonna ask Raja Muzaffar Saab if he can elaborate. Please, if you can be kind enough to give us the way forward. It was such an inspirational speeches that set us all up because we know what's going on the ground. But Raja Saab, you have to.
I will try my best.
Thank you.
Usually I do a long speech, but today I will emphasize on 2 points. Thank you so much for organizing this conference, Farooq Siddiqui Saab. It is an historical moment. And I will say that it's a call for a diplomatic action and justice for Kashmir. Distinguished guests and respected colleagues and defenders of liberty, we are gathered today not for ritual speeches but for real action. And so I open this appeal not with history but with 3 clear diplomatic steps that can bring us closer to a just and peaceful resolution of the Kashmir conflict. Before more lives are lost, before another generation is silence. And what are the 3 diplomatic steps for a peace in Kashmir? Number 1, launch a multilateral dialogue framework. The United States must support a credible dialogue process involving India, Pakistan, both sides of Kashmir, and international observers. No solution is legitimate without Kashmiri voices at the table. Second, appoint a U.S. special envoy on Kashmir. And a few months ago, I suggested before the Trump offer that President Clinton must be appointed as envoy for the resolution of the Kashmir or whatsoever to initiate the dialogue. A dedicated special envoy for Kashmir and both Asian peace building should be talk, monitor human rights, engage stakeholders, and promote confidence building measures such as trade, travel, and educational exchanges across the region. Third step, align US strategic aid with human rights benchmark. American economic and military partnership in South Asia must be tied to measurable progress and civil liberties, restoration of political freedom, and media rights in Kashmir. These steps are not interference. These steps are not interference of any country's internal matter. They are moral leadership. They are diplomacy aligned with the democracy. Why this struggle matters? For 57 years, I have carried the cause of a free, united, and democratic Kashmir, not as a slogan, but as a life truth. I have learned this silence enables injustice, delay deepens suffering. We meet here at Capitol Hill, the heart of American democracy, while Kashmir, the most militarized region on earth, remains cut by artificial lines and crushed by forces that refuse to hear possible. This is not a territorial dispute, it is a humanitarian and moral emergency. The cost and the possibility. Kashmiris have endured decades of armed conflict, disappearances, and demographic engineering, broken homes and blocked futures. Many things Brother Imtiaz has explained to you. We are not begging for sympathy. We are demanding justice. The line of control and line of actual control are not the border. Line of actual control is more between China and the and Kashmir. They are scares that defy international law and human dignity. My family has been divided because of this ceasefire line. So it is a humanitarian problem. But within this crisis lies a remarkable opportunity. Imagine a Kashmir, a place of innovation, pluralism, and peace, a land that welcomes medical tourism, as it was the topic of the conference, green development, and economic investment. A place where diversity is protected, not persecuted. Our message to the US and the world: do not support us, far from far. Stand with us, sir. Do not be bystander to occupation, be architect of the peace. Align your democratic values with the diplomatic courage, gratitude, and resolve. I thank the Kashmir Global Council and the National Center of Health Workers for organizing this vital gathering. This venue, Capitol Hill, is the right place to call for justice, freedom, and dignity for the people of Kashmir. As someone who has lived this struggle for nearly 6 decades, I give you my word: we will not retreat, we will not forget, and we will not let others write our future. We will write it with dignity, unity, and truth. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think Brian Saab and Farooq Saab has alluded to that it's time for action, and I think we are marching towards that. With that, without any further ado, I would like to invite Bob Khaki, if you can come, please, and share a few words with us. He is a Republican Peace and Development in Washington, D.C. So I will be monitoring this chair, make sure that you don't fall.
Thank you.
Sir, if you can come around.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good people are watching you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me,
Sir.
Shahab and Mona Carney. I'm fortunate enough to live in an area where there's a lot of Pakistanis. So being a small business person, I became very close to a community. And there's nothing I can say that you don't already know. But what I will say is the time to strike is now. We have a president who isn't in a basement. We have a president who's getting involved in world politics. And as this gentleman in the yellow said, you can have all the Zoom meetings you want, but nothing gets done. We need somebody to get in front of President Trump and let them know what's going on in Kashmir. As you said about Gaza, everybody knows what's going on in Gaza. Everybody knows what's going on in Ukraine. Kashmir is somehow buried behind the headlines. So in 1339, Shah Mir became the monarch of that area. It was a government. It was a country of its own, or at that time considered a territory. So, I hear people say it needs to be recognized or it needs to be resolutions. No, it's like you can't be half pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. Kashmir needs to be its own sovereignty with its own officials, with its own, representations, not a sub territory of India or Pakistan. Because until then, take for instance the country of Nepal, which is right next door. It's bordered by China, it's bordered by India, and it's a free country. Kashmir is the same geographical area. As a matter of fact, when Prim Raja Mahat of Nepal, he's a consul to the United States, saw that I was going to be here today, gave me a thumbs up and a peace signal.
Sure.
So look, I'm not going to talk any longer.
No, go ahead.
Somebody has to get in front of President Trump. This is the right time to strike. We're the right man sitting in the White House. We need to make this very, very evident to President Trump. And you guys need to get the team together to make this happen, because he's only got 3 years. So we need to get this done now. And thank you for listening to me. And peace.
Thank you. Thank you. Kani Sahib, you need to get ready before I bring you over here. Historically, we have seen for the past 7 decades, US has certain policies, and over the period of time, they have made some shifts, starting from plebiscite to human rights to now it is associated with the terrorism and what have you. But this is the first time our president have openly and publicly has mentioned in his very many speeches in the public appearance that he wants to intervene. And we want to bank that opportunity. Kashmiri want to bank that opportunity because India for too long has denied the intervention of a world most powerful country in the world. So with that, I would like to bring Karni Sahib on the podium for 3 minutes and 2 seconds.
Where is the podium, by the way?
For coming to the podium.
You are live.
Alive. Okay. Good afternoon. Assalamu
Thank
alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me to be here. Thank you, Farooq sir, for KGC for co-sponsoring the event. The reason, in fact, was very well defined by our friend Bob Cocky and Qazi Mujib Sahab, that, well, this is an opportunity, and that's the reason we have been thinking to have this, seizing this moment, for, as Bob Cocky said, almost 3 years now for Donald Trump. His Abraham Accord doctrine for peace, whatever has happened, Dr. Saab, you very well said that Pakistan failed to capitalize and leverage whatever happened, unfortunately, for whatever reasons. I'm not going to go into that. But again, coming back to Kashmir, I treat Kashmir as a world economic zone, like a Switzerland of South Asia, close to 2 billion people in that region. So if we can have this peace, this is going to lead towards development, job creation, less terrorism from both sides. Unfortunately, India, Pakistan, defense budget is directly correlated to this conflict. Unless, if Bob Corky, if this thing get resolved, all your Carlyle Group or Halliburton, they're going to go bankrupt. so that is the issue. So it's peace through economic development. And as somebody just said, that we need to have a good team. We need to have a good strategy for at least next 6 months in Washington, D.C., out of Washington, D.C., to get the real relevant ears for whatever you're trying to achieve. So I think it's 1.5 minutes.
That's
Right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I have one more thing?
Sure.
What's going on now is just simple. United Nations. These are war crimes. These are acts against humanity. So, what's the United Nations? Nothing.
That is the reason they get paid.
And I also know President is not real happy.
I know. He wants to cut down on the budget and everything.
They're
Funding.
not doing their job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Karni. I think he has alluded to one of the most important aspect of Kashmir. Kashmir could be a business hub for the South Asia and probably one of the most reliable buffer zone between the three nuclear powers. And at this time, Kashmiris are fortunate that we have a president. I'm not trying to boast it up, but it's reality. He is the man who does what he says, and we are absolutely relying on his commitment that within this his tenure that we're expecting that some sort of a resolution is passed, because the President Trump is one of those people that who is looking to be remembered as the legacy of peacemaker. And one of the oldest conflict on the face of earth at this time is the Kashmir conflict, and we want it to be resolved. And somebody beautifully said it that people in Kashmir deserve to run their own country by their people. They can create their own constitution. We can be absolutely phenomenal neighbors. We can be somebody just said Switzerland of South Asia. So with that, we have an indigenous Kashmiri who has dedicated his life for the cause of Kashmir. He's a journalist. He is a columnist. He's an activist. Altaf Qadri, if you can please share a few moments of your time with
Can
us.
I say one sentence?
Sure.
Sure. Talking about President Trump, when President Trump raised the Kashmir issue, we had Kashmiris had a rally in front of White House. And do you know what the banner said? That was before anybody said this. With President Trump's intervention, hostilities cease. He deserves Nobel Prize for Peace.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can show you the picture also.
I'm actually independent.
So Kashmiris did thank him for breaking up the Kashmir issue.
Thank you.
I thank you, Farooq sir, Karni sir, for having this gathering today. There is a very famous line of Charles Dickens: "These are the best times, and these are the worst times." And unfortunately, we are passing through very worse times. India may pretend to show itself as a democracy and secular country, but it's not functional, as Farooq Sahab has rightly said. One French author has recently produced a very wonderful account of India of today, led by Modi, which says it is an ethnic democracy. In India, there is a democracy only for Hindus. There is no democracy for minorities, Christians, Muslims, Sikhs, Dalits. It is just meant to be for only Hindus. It is also the worst time that it's not a regime that is being led today by Modi, where you can discuss things, where you can reason things, when you can have rational, you can have moral campus so strong that we can argue and sit together and argue with each other. It's not that India. Today's India is bearing down 1 million guns on the bare bodies of Kashmiris. It's not a small number, it's a million army. And I have not been able to speak to my family for a long, long time. My mother is basically at the last leg of her life, and she has Alzheimer's, she has lost the language. I would sometimes want to see her face, but I don't want to because it may have consequences for my parents, for my family. So therefore, United States, right now we are sitting in the greatest temple of democracy. And United States is bestowed by, say, God or nature or whatsoever, that has a capacity.
and it has a courage. When an American gets into action, it changes the world. Whether it was World War II, they came into the field and they changed. In Vietnam War, the people of America came down on the streets and they changed the course of history. There is something which is indescribable and very hard for me to define. In the grit of this nation is a great nation. It has helped Bosnians who could have been absolutely massacred. And if even Gaza is left alone without being tacitly under pressure by United States, they would have, you know, murdered them all. So therefore, this country has, if God has given them this, or nature has bestowed upon them this might, this capacity, this ability, then they will have to exercise it. It is for some reason. And I believe President Trump is the very right man. I believe in his honesty. He's a straightforward man. He's a statesman. He's not a warmonger. He's not playing political gimmicks. He's a serious minded man. I'm pretty sure he means it when he says Kashmir is to be resolved and India should take this opportunity when President Trump offers his office to facilitate a solution between India, Pakistan, and Kashmir. I hope President Trump will come forward and be remembered all over the world as a great peacemaker. Thank you.
Thank you. I do hope, Bob, you can take this message to President Trump that Kashmiris have lots of hopes from his presidency. With that, in the because of the interest of time, we have to conclude it.
We have 20 minutes and have some kind of discussion or anybody wants to have comments and be very free. And the very important statement of the that is that we have to get together to pursue these very constrained 3 years. I'm sure if you people can give us some idea of how to do it, it will be a great thing. Are you talking to everybody or talking to yourself?
If you allow me, Farooq Siddiqui Sahab, if you give me like maybe 5 to 7 more minutes, let me have a cup.
What I just wanted to
Yeah.
we have 20 minutes left before we start our dinner because at 6 o'clock we will be escorted out in case we do not accomplish. So within 20 minutes, I was suggesting that if there is any suggestion, anybody, how to go about pursuing this presidency in getting some attention in resolving Kashmir issue. And if there is a possibility that somebody amongst us can give some kind of suggestion, what we should do in order to is get into the offices of those, communicate with these offices where the power lies. That's the State Department or the White House. So that the word can be said. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Farooq Siddiqui Sahab. Certainly. While you are contemplating on the ideas that how we can pursue and take it to the next level, I just want to, this is my personal opinion. We need to understand that India is a sovereign country. Pakistan is a sovereign country. China is a sovereign country. They have their own interest. So don't look Kashmir in through the lenses of those countries. You need to look through it through the lenses of Kashmiris. Only then we can come to resolve. With that, I'm going to invite Qasim Saab, if you can have a few words. You can. I know I have known him for a long time. He can conclude his speech in 2 minutes. So Qasim Saab, there you go. Qasim Sahib would be the last speaker. So what we will do is we will have Sister Mona to speak, and Rais Khan Sahib and the Razak Sahib, and then we will have a question and answer session. And we've been told that by 5 o'clock will be escorted out. So
by
6 o'clock. So we have
I would like to have some
food as well.
dinner.
Okay. Thank you. All right, let's go. Go ahead, Qasim bhai.
Thank you very much. Thanks, gentlemen, ladies. Um, Today is 14th of July. Exactly 94 years ago, Kashmiri people buried their 22 in one day who were brutally killed by the Maharaja's forces in Srinagar. The incident marked the beginning of organized political activation in Kashmir. At that time, there was no Pakistan. In 1931, there was no Pakistan, there was no India. No one had even dreamed of a separate homeland for Muslims. On 14th August, Pakistan was carved out of British India. Within 3 months, Pakistan army entered the state of Jammu and Kashmir, captured the area now called Azad, Jammu and Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. In response, Indian forces landed in Srinagar in October 1947. Fact of the matter is both India and Pakistan occupied the territory of Jammu and Kashmir. UN resolutions, international interventions failed to demilitarize the state of Jammu and Kashmir. But we are hearing nowadays some solutions to the issue are discussed as to reward the occupiers for their illegal forcible occupation. Our way forward is number one, ideally the best and amicable solution to the issue is to make all foreign forces vacate the state and people of the land are given the right to govern themselves. If that is not possible right now, then at least all three parties to the issue, including the people of Kashmir, must talk to each other under international supervision. Because India and Pakistan proved themselves that we let them alone, they are not able to solve their issues. I would like to emphasize the need to the release of well-reputed leaders of Kashmiri resistance movement like Yasin Malik, Shabir Shah, and others to facilitate the dialogue process. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take time.
Thank you, absolutely. Mona, Sister Mona, you want to come over? Please, Sister Mona will be sharing few words with us, and then followed by Brother Rais and Razak. I really appreciate the respecting the time because we want to conclude at 5 so we can have some Q&A session. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I will only talk for 1 minute, but it is from my heart. When I entered this room, I was half sleepy, but this topic that always touches your heart about Kashmir woke me up. And I really felt that I wanted to say something. When I was a child, I always heard my parents talking about Kashmir, and they had all their, feelings, deep feelings about that occupied Kashmir. And since we were hearing that how bad the situation was there, so we had a soft feeling about this region. And sometime I saw them crying. I swear, I saw them crying about Kashmiri people, Kashmiri Musliman. So naturally it came into our blood also to love Kashmir. You know. So I was in school and I think I was in fourth grade and we played a little drama about Kashmir, and there was a song that was like a tableau, and the wording was वक्त आए तो बन जाएंगे तीर हम लेके एक दिन दिखा देंगे कश्मीर हम इसके खातिर कटा देंगे अपने गले अपने परचम तले हंस पाए चले. So that was a very touching poetry, and it was by a very famous poet, Humayun Shayar. So I just wanted to say that Kashmir, who was always considered like a paradise. So this paradise is burning now. It is burning for a long, long time, and we have to put this fire down. So together we can do it, and inshallah, we'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Raisbay, please. Raisbay is an activist, a great supporter of Kashmir cause, and has always supported it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good to see you.
Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So I'll make it short and sweet.
What we love.
And here's the thing about Kashmir that I wrote while listening to all of you. So I really appreciate everyone's time because Kashmir is heaven on earth. But people of Kashmir are where? They are in hell. They are fighting for their lives every day. I think it's time for both India and Pakistan to resolve the issue. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, if we can do it now, then when? President Trump is very much interested in resolving the Kashmir conflict. He is a strong president with the will to do work. People of Kashmir have suffered enough, and United Nations and United States should work together and push both Pakistan and India to work for a deal for Kashmir. We should let the people of Kashmir live their life in peace because unfortunately there's no peace in Kashmir. I have been there multiple times. I love people of Kashmir. I have met them. The biggest issue I face, and I have complained, and Kosar Javed is a witness. I spoke with one of the Kashmiri brother. He said, "No, I'm Punjabi." I said, "No, please don't shy yourself from calling yourself a Kashmiri because that's your origin. That's okay. You can be Pathan, Punjabi, Sindhi, anything. But don't forget to support the Kashmir cause because there's only one Kashmir that we can work for. God willing, it will happen in my lifetime."
Thank you. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to call upon Razak Bhai, if you can have a couple of minutes of your time. And Rais Bhai, as you said, that you love Kashmir, and we love you back as well.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you so much, Qazi Saab, Rai Saab, and Shah Bhai. We're sitting in this room, and many times Diki Saab, reminding us that we have to leave by 6 o'clock. So what if somebody lock these doors and they don't let us go outside? Can we imagine that Kashmiris are living under illegal Indian occupation from last 4 decades? Not 4 hours, not 4 days, not 4 months, not 4 years. 8 decades, almost 80 years. And world is not doing anything. As one of the speaker mentioned earlier, that Kashmir issue is the oldest dispute on United Nations agenda. And Kashmiris are waiting that promise of self-determination to be fulfilled. And unfortunately, it is not happening. In 2019, when India revoked the special status of Kashmir, during that time, I happened to go to United Nations. There was an annual session going on there. And when I stepped in the United Nations, they have 17 priorities what United Nations will do. And they have health, education, environment, and this and that. And on number 16, there was a one line written that United Nations will resolve the disputes and will resolve wherever the human rights violations are being taken place. So when I read that, I stopped right there. I said, this organization was came into existence to resolve the disputes and take care of the human rights. And now that point is shifted to number 16, almost like second to last one. So, I mean, these are the priorities of the institution which we are unfortunately expecting to resolve this issue. And we are very hopeful that President Trump will make a new history. And we shouldn't forget that I always believe that diplomacy with the strength, with the power, is only acceptable in the world. And after this 4-day conflict with India, that changed the whole narrative. Before, nobody was listening to Pakistan or nobody was talking about Kashmir. And all of a sudden, everybody is talking about Kashmir and, Pakistan. And I think President Trump is the only boldest president who can take this step. We already, endorsed him for the Nobel Peace Prize. I think he deserved that. I mean, this is not a joke to stop two nuclear power going into full-fledged war. And then he did with Iran and Israel, and hopefully he can do with the Ukraine and everything. So, after this peace, is ensured, and people of Kashmir get right to self-determination. And after that, I mean, definitely Kashmir is the heaven on the earth. And then we can talk about all the investment and everything. Bird will, definitely love to go there. So looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we will open the floor for Q&A, and I'm going to let our listeners online say goodbye. They have been patiently waiting from around the globe. Beverly, Laura, thank you very much for being so patient with us. Take good care of yourself, and thank you very much for being. Sure. Just let me bring them on the screen, and then we'll go from there. There you go. These are the two shining star ladies joining us from don't know what part of the world. Here they are. I know Karni Sahib, Farooq Sahib doesn't want me to be in the picture, but unfortunately I have to be.
Simply thank you for your time and your intervention. And we will definitely value them and we'll take them in our declaration that will be issued and we will find out about it. And there was a very important point that was raised in this conversation here, that there has to be some kind of forward-looking activity so that we can gather some attention of this present Trump administration. And I would definitely request and hope that you will also help us in that. And probably we may want to have some, we would like to invite you sometimes, especially Laura, because your book needs to be really established regarding Kashmir, and it must go to the relevant people who have the authority to look at Kashmir, how it can be resolved. Because in your book, what you have written about the Niagara Declaration, in which some of the eminent people have also uh, supported it, and we need to get that somewhere in Washington. And I hope you get the visa for coming over to Washington. And we will have, we will have, we'll have that book launching here. That might help us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take care.
Appreciate your presence here.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for being here. And